Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Teachings of Joseph, Question of the Week. Today we are joined by Dr. Johanna Ryan. This is going to be a really interesting conversation. I hope you'll stick around. Let's listen in to the conversation already underway.
Excellent. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, I've just been so helped by the Joseph information.
Thank you for saying that. Thank
You
you.
know, I was telling my husband, we both have been on this journey for decades, and it wasn't for a lack of trying. I mean, you know, when you're on that search, but I just never felt I was getting the answers that were helpful per se. I
Yeah.
feel like I was looking at our first communication. It was back in March, and in my mind, I thought it was longer. So I feel like in the 5 or 6 months since I started listening to the material, I've changed so much, and I feel like I have more clarity.
Oh, good.
And as I've commented on some of your Instagram postings, I can't believe it when I read a lot of those that how the information just gets deepened within you, like there's a deepening of it, and it's the best way I can describe it. So I
Well,
just find it fascinating.
thanks for saying that and for recognizing that. And the reason that you have noticed it with our work, noticed it so much, is because our work is totally vibrational. I mean, sometimes I get tired of saying the word because we say it so much, because that's where we're moving, and you guys are advanced. You're just advanced. And so maybe it took until, well, not maybe, that was my word. It took until this point in your own evolution
Yeah.
that your understanding was always vibrational. And so now you're in sync with the vibration that you're moving into. So you can, resonates because you're already there. You're just already there. So it's wonderful. So yeah, thanks for that. That's nice. Kudos. So yeah, so you want to just get into it? You want to tell me,
Sure.
yeah, let's wait for your bio at the end of this, because
Okay.
I don't, I do know a little bit about what you do. But let's do the questions first, and then at the end, we'll see how they kind of meld into what you do.
Okay.
Okay.
So I it when I had sent this email, I had listened to several of the recordings under your Joseph page on YouTube, and of course, I look at Instagram daily. So I think with the combination of both of these, that the questions came up. So the first one is that in several of the podcasts I've listened to, the concept of teaching comes up, and where Joseph says that we're all teachers, the ones that are listening
Yeah. Yeah.
to the podcast. So my first question was, how is it that that's actually happening? Because in the sense of how we think of it language wise, I think most of us have an opinion of what that means.
Right.
And then the other question is that if we're teachers, are we teachers along the way? Sorry about that. Are we teachers along the way on our journeys to becoming more in alignment creators, or must we be closer to achieving our fourth dimensional or fifth dimensional aspects to take on the role of teachers?
No, actually, there's a couple things we want to touch on here. And when we say that everybody who comes to us, everybody that resonates with our message, they are as Esther says, and has been teaching, on the leading edge. It's the same group. It's the leading edge. It's the way showers, the light workers. We have a lot of labels for this person, but what we mean when we say that you are teachers is that your understanding capacity at this point in your own evolution is such that you can, and we already talked about this, that you are of the mindset vibrationally that you are taking the message in on a vibrational level, and then it is, and I've heard this from other clients, that it is showing itself to be truth through your physical manifestations. So you said that you have more clarity since you have been following Joseph or have been understanding our message, and that clarity is vibrational first. So when you have awareness of us and you understand the awareness of it is what resonates with your readiness, which is vibrational. Your physical vibration is ready to receive, ready to understand. You are at a level that your understanding is more vibrational than it is contrast.
Okay.
In other words, you are understanding everything more so on a vibrational level. And as you are aware of that shift in your own being, then you start to understand that the vibrations that you are understanding are turning into your physical reality. So, and
Okay.
part of that is your clarity. When you're in vibrational agreement with your soul, which is what happens when you invite that awareness in, you become in agreement vibrationally with it, and then it manifests. And it manifests in this case as your clarity.
Okay.
And it's the momentum that will keep that going, And so as you continue to follow us or whoever is reaching you on a vibrational level, you will gain more and more and more clarity as you create momentum around the vibrational understanding. And that's all it is. It's a vibrational understanding. A lot of people have it. Now, my clients up to this point have been teachers, and I always laugh, at the end of a session or something, I always laugh with Joseph still, because they told me way back in the beginning when they first contacted me, before I knew their name, they said, our message is for the teachers, we call them way showers, we call ourselves the way showers or whatever. And I picture that as, and they have said that this is a really good analogy. We are out in the front with a machete. We are cutting this path because the human collective has not been in this space before. We have not stepped consciously into another realm of consciousness, knowing that we're doing it. We're actually at the point now where we are choosing it. And that all begins with vibrational understanding. So the teachers that we talk to, our message only resonates with those who have the awareness of the vibration. And then once you have the awareness of the vibration, of course, there's a lot of teachers in this consciousness that we teach from. And the teachers that are teaching our human aspects on the level where you are in the place where you can understand it. Your readiness for understanding, your readiness for awareness is what allows and really creates the resonation, because it will go, sorry, my hot flashes are every time this happens. Um, the your your readiness to receive. Nothing is ever brought to us on a spiritual level. Nothing's really ever brought to us that we are unable to understand. They don't play those games. We do. They don't do that. But when we get to a place of vibrational readiness, because every manifestation, remember, every manifestation is non-physical first. So your asking for clarity comes through vibrationally first. And then you understand, you go, oh, those are aha moments. Those are the clicks, the impulses, the inspirations. That's what resonates when resonation happens. That means your vibrations, you're in alignment with your own soul.
Okay.
And your own guidance. So yes, teachers, when we say teachers, we mean mostly by example, because that's how we teach. Now, um, when that, I'm going to say, trickles down to the third dimensional teaching, you are a teacher in every sense of the word, with what you do. And your teaching is in a scientific category, maybe in the third dimension, but your teaching, when we say teacher, we mean you are exempling your own alignment.
Okay.
You're exempling alignment. And so the teachers, that's where our authenticity comes from, is our example. Joseph said early on when we were talking about this, I'll never forget, because I laughed for days about this. And they said, Cindy, you must learn our message and you must example our message first. You must understand it, because people will not, they didn't use these, they're much nicer than I am. People aren't going to believe you, if you don't live this. You must live it. I mean,
Mhm.
from the very, very beginning, live it, live it, live it, live it, live it. And they said it would be like buying diet pills from a fat guy. There's no trust, there's no trust. So that's what they mean by teachers,
Okay.
that are actually living what you're preaching. Because we see, and I'm sure you do too, we see all the time people that are spewing a lot of things. And of course, there's a purpose for all of it. And certain things resonate. Now, the things that resonate with you are going to be the authentic teachings, and we're one of many that you'll come across,
Mhm.
and that you have, of course, and that you will come across, because there's a teacher for every stage of our own development,
Mhm.
so that's how we answer the question without my
Yeah.
babbling.
And I do have another part to it, if it's
Yeah,
okay that I
sure.
ask. So I had written in the email that I have learned so much and continue to do so on a daily basis, that I would actually love to teach what I've learned
Yeah,
and continue to experience.
yeah.
So my question was, would Joseph have any tips regarding how I and others can make that happen? And would it be beneficial for others to know right now?
It's always beneficial, to live and to example what you have learned, more so than anything you could ever say, because the example, uh, Abraham has been saying for many, many, many years that words don't teach. Words don't teach, example teaches. And when you are in the mode of teacher, which you are on a pretty regular basis, you will, the desire for teaching, you're already doing it. From our perspective, teaching from the fifth dimension and higher is all exempling, and it's all vibrational. So when you are in the mode of teacher, and you have been for eons of time, eons, you've always been a teacher of something, a helper, a mover forward. You're an usherer. I'm an usher. We're all ushers, bringing people forward. We want people, come on, come this way, come this way. And we do that, not only by our example, but in your case specifically, you're teaching, uh, the messages that you have accumulated, not only from us, but from teachers from many, many years ago and from other lifetimes. You've been accumulating all of this information. And let me just say that the teacher part of this, because of where the human collective is standing right now, we say on this precipice of the fourth dimension, we're just beginning really to talk about the fourth dimension, because there is a step in there. There's actually another human aspect in there. Of course, there would have to be, because it has to be vibrationally, it has to have vibrational agreement with that timeline, right? So there's, of course, another aspect, of us that we will experience before we actually get to our fifth dimensional freedom. It's all freedom, not for the third dimensional aspect so much, but as we move forward, we just get
Mhm.
more free and free and free and free. But sorry, I got sidetracked. But the teaching part of this is already done in your vibrational cavity, Ooh, that was an interesting word. In your vibrational cavity that you've been bagging up with you as you croak, Zester says, as you die off and come back, you're bringing this bag of tricks with you. And the bag of tricks are all these vibrational understandings. And so you step into this new body, this third dimensional body, and now you're ready to lay it out on the table. They're showing me this table, and you just have all these, it looks like all these gems and jewels. They're not, but
Yeah.
they're giving me this visual of these jewels, of some kind, because it's precious. They're saying
Yeah.
it's very precious. What
Mhm.
you're understanding is very advanced. So what happens now, and for all of you who are listening and are teachers and want to teach what you know, which is great, because we all need to step forward now. The way you discover that, and this lifetime, I want to say this to finish my last, sorry, I get all over the place, but this lifetime is when the teachers who have, like you, like me, like millions of others, have been collecting these vibrations along our pathway all this time. This is the lifetime where we lay it on the table. That's where the table comes in. We lay it on the table and we say, okay, now we are at the point where you will have a follower. You already have a follower. You have a following of people who trust you, who understand that you are a guide, and a guide in your own, your guide, your guidance will reveal itself. Okay. So for all teachers, and I went through it too, still going through it, we all go through it, the unfolding process of your teaching is part of your journey. It's part of all our journey. That's how we become, and that's how we teach from the perspective of authenticity, is by doing it. So we would say to you that you have all the tools. You've already created in its fifth dimensional form. You've created your passage way. It's kind of like a book. They're showing a book. You've created all of this already, is accumulated. What you're doing now and why you feel the urge and the anticipation is probably better. The passionate anticipation of teaching is the discovery of what that is. So it is in its fifth dimensional form. So we're going to tell you that what you do now is to focus on the teaching part, not the material, the teaching part. And the teaching part is you're bringing it into your own creative reality. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
it
so
does.
once you practice it in your life, as you start to, and we know you are doing some of this, but when it comes to teaching others, um, it's such an easy shift for you to make because you're already living it. You're living it. So once you start focusing more on not the how do I teach this, but I'm going to be teaching this. I am teaching this now. The ideas are on that pathway. See, our soul's eternal pathway has all of this stuff. It's all there. I picture this pathway in so many different ways, but there's one pathway that I've visited many times when I am in a quandary like you are with how do I now do this? Well, from the
Mhm.
fifth dimensional perspective, the action is not required, right? The action is not the first step. The action comes after the impulse, right? Because the impulse is indication that you're in vibrational agreement, just like your impulse and you're opening up to the clarity of a new message or a new direction, whatever that
Mhm.
message is that takes you in a new direction of understanding. That means that you're on the path, that you're on your soul's eternal path. It feels really good, right? It feels
It
really
does.
good to feel that clarity. And you go, finally, I get this. I get this. And every
Mhm.
time you understand something else, you move forward on your eternal path and another door opens. So I have pictured this teaching pathway, because I have many, teaching pathway as this beautiful pathway, and there are doors on both sides and they're kind of staggered. And as I'm walking down this pathway, as I come into agreement with my next event, I know you understand what that means,
Mhm.
that door opens. So the action is our focus. So your focus is on your own development. And then your own development will open up the ideas once you reach that event that says, okay, you're up. You know, we refer to it in one post as you step out of the batter's box, or out of the on deck into the batter's
Yes.
box. You know, when we're on deck, we're learning, we're swinging, we're warming up, we're getting ready. As Esther says, we're getting ready to be ready to be ready. That's what it is. And it's upfront loading for us. And our time frame in the third dimension does not work in the fifth dimension. A lot of people say to me, when? 65 years old, I'm 70 years old, I'm 50 years
Yeah.
old. When is it going to happen already? Well, you know, in the fifth dimension, they don't care about our age. Our age has nothing to do with anything. It's our vibrational readiness. It's our
Mhm.
awareness of more of who we are. And as we continue to walk that path, discovering more of who we are, everything that's lined up for you, and everybody out there, everybody is on your unique eternal pathway. So your teaching comes with your understanding of the event and the realization. I know this sounds vague. I know it sounds vague, but the discovery of our own evolution is the journey.
Right.
So, you know, they said a while ago, there's no more uh, some people are going to take issue with this, but there's no more psychic predictions that roll over into the fourth and fifth dimensions. You know, psychics are energy readers. You know, you get a good psychic and they're reading timelines. That's what they're doing. The probabilities, the possibilities of timelines based on where you are. Well, now we don't know this timeline. We've not been there. Up until this point, we've been swimming around in the third dimension for thousands and thousands of years. So we might not know what's next, but we have a pretty good idea of what we're going into. So where we're moving now, we have no idea what we're going into, which is why Joseph says, allow your guides to lead you, allow your soul to lead you, because they know the ropes. They know the ropes. So everything is different. It's not like you can, and you certainly can, but it won't be in alignment. It's not like you can sit down and write on your, I say on your own, and that's not really good, but like from your 3D
Yes.
corporate perspective or whatever,
Mhm.
your business plan and all this stuff doesn't work that way anymore. It just
Mhm.
doesn't work that way anymore. This is all vibrationally led. And so that's why you're feeling clarity, because you're up for this, but it's a vibrational understanding first. It's always vibrational first. And then you just move, I can't really describe, things just start to happen, and they happen, and they may stop. For me, it it comes in these waves. It's like a tsunami, and then it's nothing.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
nothing. And I say, what, are you done with me? You know, no, it's time for the next event. Pay attention, kind of thing,
Mhm.
you know? So I know the answers are vague, but it's all about your own discovery of who you are and your own discovery of your own path. Once we can consciously choose to step into the space of alignment, which is our eternal pathway, when you can consciously choose to do that, and of course, we're still in the third dimension, so we're going to be stepping in and out, in and out, in and out. You know, I don't know if you saw our post with the tightrope walker guy, when he's balancing that rod and he's way up in the air, and his rod is really long, and he's on this string, and he's balancing. That's what it feels like for us right now,
Mhm.
moving between the third and fourth dimension. And sometimes, we step into the fifth. When we're in alignment, we're in the fifth dimension, and we're balancing ourselves because we're still in the third. So
Mhm.
that's where the fourth dimensional entry comes in, when we step in there, when we know more, and our physical vibration is dominant in our soul's perspective, then we are in the fourth dimension. And when we step into that, getting goosebumps, I love this. When we step into that, then it's easier, because then there's a definite stepping over the line, the line in the sand. And it is a line in the sand, because once you shift your dominant vibration into to that of your soul's vibration, which you carry with you all the time, always have, once it's dominant, then you cannot remain fully in the third dimension anymore, because there's no agreement for it.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So that's when we get into the fourth, because we cannot be in the fifth dimension with any third dimensional garbage, or no baggage. There's no fear. There's nothing there's no doubt. Most of the stuff that we have experienced in the third dimension doesn't exist there. So that's why we need the fourth dimension is really the bridge. And when we step into the fourth dimension, then it like, when we're attracting from the third dimension over here all the time, right? We're looking over here all the time, because that's a third dimension, we're attracting. It's coming this way. And then we go, wait a minute, wait. It's almost like a honing device. And all of a sudden the fifth, and now we're attracting over here. And the more we spend focused on our soul's perspective, it, and then that's how we get into the fifth dimension, is
Okay.
by choosing, consciously choosing. And when we're choosing love over the contrast, as opposed to the contrast, when we consciously choose the love, of course, we start building momentum. And then the more momentum we build, the closer we get, and the more time we spend vibrationally in the space of alignment. And then we ultimately step over another line in the sand, which is an easier transition, because we're already on the downslope,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of resistance going on here, today. A lot of people don't understand what's happening. And that's why we have to example it for them.
Mhm.
It was a roundabout way. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
Get off on these tangents. Sorry.
Prior to, since I knew we had this scheduled, I wanted to relook at the material from the Allowing the Soul to Lead, because it had been a while since I looked, and I
Yeah,
realized
me
I
too.
hadn't even read the book 4. So, but for me, that was a very profound volume
Oh,
of
I love the book. Yeah.
information, just because I felt like, just as you were describing, it put so much together.
It
Um,
does,
yeah.
it does. And I haven't read them in a while either. I probably need to go back, because even now, I mean, of course, when they were first published, especially the first one, I read it over. I must have read 150 times, because every time
Mhm.
you read it, you find something else. And then I
Mhm.
get somebody else to read it, and somebody else. But then I walk away, and I start doing other things, and I'm, interviews and writing stuff, whatever it is. But then it was probably a year when I went back and I said, let me go back and read this. And it was completely different, because now
Mhm.
I'm at a different place, and I'm reading it saying, well, that's changed and that's changed. So even our message has evolved. And of course it does, because everything constantly evolves. So
Mhm.
I read book 1 now and I go, wow, I don't remember that. I don't remember
Yes.
writing that. So every time you read it, you get something else out of it, because your vibration has changed. And of course it's
Mm.
vibrationally written. So it's really interesting. And you can do that with any spiritual book,
Yeah.
the Bible too. I mean, everything that was written um, from a spiritual perspective, you know, is there to serve that level of awareness, really. So
That's
yeah,
excellent.
it's
Yeah, I
good.
left finishing book 4, hoping that there would be more to come with,
There
the,
is there
yeah.
is another one to come, and they tell me probably more than that. I don't know, but the next one they tell me um I don't even, I can't even, I don't even know what to say about it. It's going to be like, I don't even know what to call it. It is our entrance into the new earth. It is a how to, I have, I'll tell you, I've been loaded up for the past probably year or so. It's been getting more intense, and I'm getting these, every time I get this, some people call them downloads. They're conversations for me with them. They'll give me something and I go, holy cow, that's huge. And I say, okay, that's where the next book is going. And then before I know it, there's another piece of it. So they're
Mm.
building it like they built the first four. They're building it now. And from what I see so far, it's almost like, I think the folder I named for all of the information that I'm getting, because of course I'm still writing down everything I ever, well, most of the stuff. I have a lot, I talk with them all the time, but um there are some pretty profound things that are coming through, and I named it, uh my folder, leaving, is something like leaving the third dimension. I mean, we are really, this is what we're doing. We are readying ourselves to leave this dimension. It's, for me, that's just huge, because when you start to think about the experiences that we've had here, that you've had, not in this lifetime, but I'm aware of a lot of experiences I had in other
Mhm.
lifetimes, and everything that we have accumulated along the way, and just our nature here in the third dimension. It blows my mind what a huge shift this is
Yes.
for us. I mean, everything is different. And when they told me in the beginning, this is when they first started telling me what we were going to be doing, the beginning of that, because in the beginning they didn't. But the message, they said it's a big shift, Cindy, but I really had no idea the bigness of it. It's everything. It's everything.
Hmm.
I mean, from our bodies, everything shifts.
Yes.
There's nothing that we take with us. So it's almost like going on vacation and not coming back.
Ah.
Doesn't that sound good? Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty interesting. The timing of it, I have no idea. I have a
Mhm,
lot of people asking, when is book 5? I have no idea.
mhm,
And of course, this is part of the discovery. And what I have learned, and it's taken me a long time because I am stubborn and I am impatient. I used to be a lot more than I am now, not so much anymore, because it's not a good thing. When you're doing this work, it's not a good thing to be impatient.
mhm.
Excuse me. I haven't spoken all day. Um, so when you are impatient, you know it only slows you down. It doesn't affect anything else. It just pisses you off. And
Mhm.
it doesn't have, there's no good side to that. And so they have taught me step by step for years, how to shift that perspective about when. I mean, 10 years ago I was saying, I'm ready. Boy, was I not ready. Holy cow, had no idea. So when we think we're ready, that means we're ready for the next step. But the next step doesn't necessarily mean what we think it does.
Yes.
And that's the understanding of the unfolding I was trying
Mm.
to, get
Okay.
at. So it's the discovery. When we discover something, hand in hand with our soul, and we get the impulse that there's no question that this is what's next. There's just no question. You just get up and do it. And I've
Mhm,
experienced that several times. You have too. We all experience these impulses, and we do it and we say, where did that come from? Well,
mhm.
that's where it comes from. And when you're on the pathway of alignment, those impulses are events. There are tons of little events that get us to what we call the big events. They just call them choices.
Okay.
We make a big deal out of everything, but it's not really like that. Just more fun for us to think about it that way. But so when we're there, it's the journey of discovery. We were talking about just a couple days ago and up to yesterday, the when people say the joy is in the journey, and I said to them, I get that now. I get that
Mhm,
because it's
mhm,
all about, it's deeper than we think it is. The joy is in the journey. Go, oh,
mhm,
no, it's not. I don't want, but it really is, because the journey is a journey of discovery that never ends.
mhm.
It just never ends. So if we have the manifestations along the way, and if we can shift our perspective about the journey to a perspective that says the journey is one of delightful, exciting discoveries. And from those discoveries, we manifest our reality. So the manifestations are really just indication of our vibrational alignment, because we manifest the third dimensional stuff all the time and we complain about it, but we don't do anything about it. We just keep
Yes.
manifesting it without understanding that that's part of our journey. There are no mistakes in those manifestations, no failures. There's just vibrational agreement and indication, which is the manifestation. So if you get a manifestation that you don't like impatience is a manifestation of an out of alignment vibration, right? Um, Anything that is not yet physical, but emotional, those are all events, and they're events on our path. And we when we notice, and when we can say, I'm impatient, therefore I am out of alignment, and say, okay, I got to chill out here, because this is out of alignment. That means anything that I create from that space of impatience, because we do create from there, it's out of
Mhm.
alignment, is going to be out of alignment too. And it's going to put us on another pathway that we're not going to like, so it's catching it up front early on, setting our goal to be more in alignment than not, to be conscious choosers. That's what we want to do, is
Yeah.
consciously choose so we can stay on the pathway, and when we step off, we know it.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
there's no mistake in stepping off. We're going to be stepping off a lot because we're in the third dimension, you know, but now we're conscious of our movement and we can move forward, we can move forward on the right pathway, chosen right pathway. So,
Right.
so,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sorry. So I'll just wrap this up with the
Mhm.
journey thing. The shifting our perspective about our own journey, first is and foremost, is to recognize and understand that it's an eternal journey.
Mhm.
So there's not anything that we have to get done in this particular lifetime,
Right.
right? And so many people, what if I die first? Okay, so that, it's not the end. It's just another beginning
Right.
of more, it's not the end of anything, actually. Just, it's a refocusing. It's a refocusing. And we'll be back. It's like,
Plus, I feel like with the clarity I've received now, it's like that's fine. So if it were, this moment were my last,
yeah,
the way that I feel is so much different, even
yeah,
though, of course, there's more room for growth. I felt like with book 4, it really put all the information together with all the aspects, and it was the way it was written, Cindy, it was so beautiful. It was, there was just such beauty I felt in really assessing the material and getting a sense of the, I think, the beauty of all the aspects, and the fact that before the incarnation, there's this agreement, as is described out of the book. This was an agreement of all the aspects within the space of love. And so every aspect's role during lifetimes is truly coming from that space. And I think one of the things I really appreciate about the Joseph material is the clarity about the ego aspect.
yeah,
And so I felt like in book 4, the way it was presented, I could really see the beauty in that aspect.
yeah.
And so I just feel like from having finished that book, I'm in a different space too,
Oh,
because now, now I can see, okay, it's like, um, the journey of even just reconnecting with the soul and the soul's energy, like
yeah.
that. I mean, that's,
It's the
to
most
me,
important thing.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. And there's so much beauty in that. So,
yeah,
if the life were to end tomorrow, it's just, well, there's been, a lovely journey to reach this point of
yeah.
understanding and
Well, and it
awareness.
will get lovelier. life never ends, life never ends.
Mhm.
It's interesting that just the other day, everything happens just the other day. We were talking about, they told me early on, many years ago, they said, when I was saying, who are you? What do you, what do you want? What do you want? And they said, we are in your breath. We are your breath. And I didn't understand it like I understand it today, but the life force, the soul's vibration, that's why in yoga, or when everybody wants somebody to calm down, they say, breathe, breathe, get more of
Mhm.
your soul's vibration in your body.
Mhm.
That's what I came to a new understanding of that, because the soul's vibration is the breath of the body, and when is the life force of the body. So when we die, the breath is removed
Mhm.
from the vibration, but the vibration remains
Yeah.
in the vibrational agreement time frame, in that timeline that there's vibrational agreement, right? The
Okay.
physical vibration remains, the soul looks in another direction and we go with it. That's all that
Mhm.
happens, just
Okay.
another, and then we come back and we pick up where we left off, hopefully on the new earth, at least, this
Mhm.
time. God, we're done with this. We're done with the third. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing. So if we can think about our souls, the connection with the breath,
Mhm.
I was there when he took his last breath. That's so,
Yeah.
to me, that's such a beautiful thought, because that's the soul kind of saying goodbye, you know, see
Mhm.
ya, checking out. We'll see you another time. From a different perspective, they're still here.
Yeah.
Everybody, because vibration's still here and you can connect with it whenever you want, you know? So yeah, the first and foremost, the path of discovery is your connection with who you really are.
Mhm.
The ego aspect is really interesting. And I'll tell you that I get kind of pissy still, and I have no right to, but I do. But the human side of me, when I see people, when I see posts, or I hear people talking about the ego's so bad, the ego swoops
Yeah.
you up. And I ask people, and I say, tell me, what is the ego? What is it? Nobody can answer that question,
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's just another third dimensional teaching that has been taught and retaught, and it's used. I understand the usage. I absolutely understand the usage. Time to get away from that perspective, because now you cannot move into the fifth dimension with the understanding that there's something, a part of you that's outside of you, but inside of you, that has control over you, that can make you do
Yeah.
things.
Mhm.
Doesn't it sound ridiculous? It sounds ridiculous to me now. I mean, I
Eh,
understand where it came from, but when you shift your perspective, and you just said it, when you shift your perspective to, no, 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 I'm here to help. I'm here
Mhm.
to help you navigate the third dimension by
Yeah.
offering the negative emotion that the soul won't offer. So
Mhm.
I'm going to give you the emotion that the third dimension, so when you're in alignment, it's a
Yeah.
helper. I mean, and
Absolutely.
it's such a good perspective, because it turns it back into love, because the ego is part of love. And maybe we'll change the name of it. I don't know. God, that would be a big chore. But it's it's little shifts like that, that we recognize. And then when you make little shifts like that, all of a sudden, when they gave me that, I'll never forget. I was walking outside by a pond or something, and we were chatting. And this was several years ago. And they said, you have to choose. And I said, choose what? What am I choosing? Like, who's doing the choosing? And then they said, it's you and the ego. And I said, I don't, that was a really interesting conversation. But at the end of it, I understood that it's our own responsibility. This, fifth dimension is total
Yeah.
responsibility, which is why most people don't like it
Mhm.
or don't understand it, because we're
Well,
taking,
I like it with this clarification now. I
yeah,
like it. It's it's
yeah.
it's
Makes
easier
sense,
to
doesn't
deal
it?
with. Yes.
Yeah, it makes so much
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. So is there another question? Because I'll talk forever if
Yeah,
you.
there is. So, based on the question, I was again listening to various podcasts, and your March 20th podcast, question of the week. I don't remember full question, but it had to do about physical healing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that a person must always start with alignment. That point really hit home with me, and it makes so much sense now. So I was asking, the predicaments and the blocks that we feel have to do with us having resistance to experiencing our own nature. So that was what you said in that recording. And so I was asking, why is that? Why is there, why do we have this resistance to experiencing our true nature? Because personally, I know that I've done this. Like I know what's happening. I don't know why. I know there's probably the fear is there for not wanting to make that discoveries, and I've been aware of it when it's happened in the past. I feel like I've gotten better because I've recommitted to this work, and I've grown so much, and I think my role as an observer with observing myself has really grown. And so I find myself making more favorable in alignment choices. So I just would like an understanding of why I've been afraid to discover my true nature for a long time.
Yeah, it's the same for everybody. The umbrella, of course, there's a lot of details that we're all very unique about it. But the main reason that we are all resisting, or that there is resistant, because we are dominant in the third dimensional vibration. And the contrasting vibration is about resistance. There's when you're out of alignment, you're in resistance.
Okay.
So if you think about everything that is out of alignment, if you have doubt, you're in resistance. If you are jealous, you're in resistance. And it's resistance to who we really are. But that's because of the vibrational physical makeup. That's our physical makeup that we've been experiencing in the third dimension. And that comes with everything that's out of alignment comes from the third dimension of contrast. So, and resistance comes from the third dimensional understandings.
Okay.
So the resistance goes away when you focus on alignment, because there's no resistance there. You can't be in alignment and be in resistance at the same time. So the reason for it is that we have all of the physical lifetimes that we've experienced in the third dimension. We won't talk about what was before the third dimension, because we stepped into that too, for the purpose of understanding more of who we are, and the uh, in regards to our choosing, our ability to choose. That's our overall purpose of the third dimension. We can choose. So many people say to me, I had no idea I had choice. And that's really all we have is choice.
Yeah.
But we have this ingrained physical vibration that we have carried with us every time we leave and come back and leave and come back. We pick up where we left off. And that vibration, if you watch the Human Path Evolution podcast, if you haven't yet, watch it. It's the green one in there. It shows the human aspect evolution through the third dimension, and it shows and it describes it. This is a visual that Joseph gives us to describe how our physical vibration evolves through the third dimension, because every time we come back, we pick up physically where we left off in the physical realm, but we bring a ton more love with us. So our soul's vibration is bigger in part of the physical, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Our physical vibration is blended. Actually, it's being blended now, but because there's no agreement between the physical and the non-physical, unless we put it there, unless we focus on it, if you understand that. So our resistance comes from our third dimensional physical vibration. We carry around our vibration. We are it. We're a manifestation of our vibration. So it's a little difficult for us to understand what that really means, but I picture it as kind of a neon light that kind of outlines our body, and the one that's closest to our body is bright white. and that's our souls. And the more that expands, the more awareness we have of who we really are, which is our soul's vibration. But when we're here and we're focused in the third dimension, in the out of alignment position, which most people are, and that's because of our conditioning, society, laws, whatever that is, and our teachers, our teachers from when we're kids, our parents, our influencers, whatever that is. If it's out of alignment, and all the teachings in the third dimension are in agreement with the third dimension. Now that should tell us something, which is why new teachers are always coming in, because the readiness of human collective to receive the new messages, that's when they come. So people that are still stuck in the Bible, great teaching tool, but the Bible is the wrath of God and the fear of God. That's how I was taught to fear God. I was never taught that God loved me, just to fear it. Now, I probably was told that, but I didn't get that. But so many people are waiting for God to come and rescue them when it's a choice that we make. There's nobody rescuing us, because when you're in alignment and snuggled up next to God, there's no rescuing necessary. It's just a choice to be there. So all resistance to this movement comes from our focus on the third dimension, because there's no resistance in alignment. And it's just that shift in understanding, and it's also the fear of the unknown, which is again why they call it allow us to lead you. You don't know what you're doing here, So it's the fear of the unknown vibration that we're moving into, In the third dimension, we're used to all the crap. We say, well, you hear it all day long. You hear it all. And when you become more aware, you hear it even more, Every relationship has problems. Every relationship is difficult. You'll never have a job you really like. You just have to do, it's all bullshit, and we buy into it because that's what we're told to do. And so we buy into it, and then we manifest lives that match that understanding. Until we shift the understanding, then we manifest a new life, So it's all vibrational understanding from the get-go. And it's a vibrational shift that has to happen in order for us to make, people say, why do I keep getting the same guy over and over and over? I get the same guy, same vibration you're choosing from. They're lined up,
And I've had a few things happen to me in my life. And so as I'm evaluating, I say, what's the common denominator? Well, it's me. So obviously there's something I'm doing that.
That's exactly right. And you know what? To stand up and say that is indication of your movement, of your evolution. Well, it's me. And it's not a blaming me. It's a recognition that I'm the creator here, excuse me, I'm the creator of this. And when people say, you're creating that, they go, I know that's bullshit. If he didn't do that, I wouldn't have had to do that. And I wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. But when you shift your perspective about the responsibility, and you take blame out of alignment, blame is out of alignment, right? Because it's all our attracting. We are attracting, constantly attracting.
Well, that's why I like how the material says, I think it's the experience. It's just experiences. It's not experience. It's not a mistake. It's not that type of thing. It's an experience because of the choosing. So when I hear that, the repetition of it is so helpful. Just really helping to solidify the understanding, and then just having like a loving acceptance of that too, and then understanding it, at least how I look at it, is it's an understanding as a tool, to pay attention to that, and just keep working to more of that in alignment position.
Choosing from love and catching ourselves, catching ourselves, like you just said, what's my common denominator here? You said, oh, it's me. It's always you, it's always me, it's always whoever. It's we tend to blame a lot of people, but that doesn't get us anywhere except more of the same crap, frankly. So the understanding of that is a big deal. But of course, you can't really have that understanding unless you understand vibration, which is why
Mhm.
you have the understanding, because you
Yeah.
understand the vibrational component.
Yeah.
It's all vibrational. And people say, I don't know what that means. Well, I don't know. How do you explain it? How do you explain
Yeah.
it? I mean, I've explained it many times. How do you explain understanding your own vibration?
I think a couple of things that have been very helpful. You had a couple of visuals, I'll call them, on Instagram. And one of the images was of a threshold. It was two-sided image. So on one hand, there was this beautiful threshold with greenery and flowers. And I mean, it was just really lovely to look at. And
Yeah.
then on the other side, it was like a dilapidated black and white, obviously
Scary.
not beautiful. Yeah, it had a scary look. I was like, oh, that's so clear to me. It's like, which one would I prefer?
That's right.
And then there was another image that you had on with same thing where the image was divided in two. And on the one hand, the person's on, looks like a bus. They're on a bus, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful outside the window. It's just lovely to look at. And then on the other side is someone who's obviously in distress, and it's
Yeah.
black and white. It just, I mean, it just looks like a very distressing image. And so for me, those two things have been, those two images have been very helpful
Yeah.
in just having the visual in mind that, oh, that's what that means. So yes, I would prefer to go through the threshold. It's much more beautiful
Yeah.
and looks more welcoming. And then I would prefer to be on that bus that where the person's happy and
Yeah. Same
obviously more
experience.
favorable. Yeah,
Yeah.
favorable.
They're having the same experience,
Yeah.
but they're seeing it differently. There's
Yes.
another one too that goes with that set of these two uh prisoners, and they're painting. I don't know if you've seen that one, but I'll
Yeah, I
post
don't
that
think
again because that was a
okay.
good one. And they're both in the same, they got their stripes on. It's cartoon, they had their stripes on, and they're both painting. And one of them is, and they're both looking out their windows. And
Mhm.
the one guy that's distressed, he's upset and he's mad or whatever, he's painting the bars on the window. The other guy is painting what he sees outside the bars, and he's got a big smile on his face. So
Mhm.
they're having the same experience, but in the physical, but their perspective is different. And so
Yes.
their experience of it is different.
Mhm.
And so that's where the shifting to no mistakes, there's no failure, there's no, people beat
Yeah.
themselves up for years. I
Mhm.
made so many mistakes. Well, if you don't, I hate the word mistake, but if you don't have those experiences, you
Mhm.
don't have choice.
Mhm.
you know you don't have you don't have a choice. If you expect that you'll always experience that way, then you're always going to experience it that way until
Yes.
you see this is a choice that I'm making you know and so let me choose something else if I don't want to
Mhm.
experience that anymore. you
Yes.
know it's just a different choosing. It's a different platform. The problem is that there's so much momentum in the third dimension of all of this that I have a friend that I've been coaching her and teaching her for, God, probably 15 years, saying this stuff over and over. And she, once in a while, she'll say, I mean, she understands it more. She understands it more, but she doesn't put it into play. And, and she's lives in fear all the time
Yeah.
about everything. The first thing she says, if I say, oh, I'm going to do this, well, what if this happens? Or what if that, and I say, shift your perspective now. Well, I'm not shifting it now. I'm scared about this. So
Mhm.
there are a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
People will call me and they're really upset. And I say, well, let's shift the perspective about it. Well, not now. That I don't want to do that now. I'm too mad about this. I want to talk about this now. Well, I'm not going to go in the mad place with you.
Yes.
When you calm down, come back, because I'm not, you want to sit
Mhm.
there, you can sit there, but I'm not going there.
Yes.
And so it's definite unique choosing that we all
Mhm.
do in every area, in relationships and jobs and our meditations and what we focus on, everything. It really is a streamlining. It's a streamlining practice of conscious choosing, really.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez. It's fun though, isn't it?
It
Once you
is.
understand it, it's
Yes.
fun. It kind of clears up why everything happened. I've been married 3 times. I guess people know that. Yeah, and I've never looked at any of them as failure ever. It
Mhm,
never even occurred to
mhm,
me that they were failures, you know. But you get that from some. I haven't gotten in a long time because it's not something I talk about or don't talk about. It's just
mhm.
experiences I had, and I loved every one of them dearly, still do. Um, but I can look back now and I see exactly why I chose them and why they chose me. You
Yeah.
know, I see the vibrations. I can be the observer
Mhm.
of those, and they were all interesting, cool guys, but as I moved on, they went in a different direction. We just
Mhm.
went in different pathways, and it was great. So I can look at that now. I've never considered them failures, but I know people that beat themselves up and they go through divorce and they say, oh my God, I'll never
Mhm.
get married again. Keep that attitude up and you won't. It's an experience, and it's indication of where I was, where you were, where everybody
Mhm.
is at that time vibrationally.
Yes.
Everything that happened, I can see the chaos in my old life,
Yes.
in my previous life, full of chaos. I say chaos because I was deep into the third dimension. I had a business going,
Yes.
I had marriages going, I had all this stuff, and most of it was good, but at the same time, I was living the 3D life, and
Mhm.
now, boy, is it different, really different. But I can see it now. And I would never call any of them ever, and I never did, mistakes.
Mhm.
Never
Mhm.
mistakes. That's a third dimensional court thing.
Right,
you
right.
know, I'm not in court, so that's not, and it's a shift. And that when you shift that perspective about the so-called mistakes that we've made, through our lifetime, which is now a ridiculous statement to me because it's so foreign to me now to think about anything like that. When you shift that perspective moving forward, when you, for me anyway, when I have what I would have considered made mistakes um, in my job, I don't even know what that means anymore. I don't have that perspective anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just, okay, that didn't work. What can we try next? And there's always a
Mhm.
solution because you're not beating yourself up. You're looking at what is, and you're saying, how can I make this better? And so you're in alignment, you're pulling from your source, a new way. I want a new way. This way didn't work. So it's out of alignment with what I'm doing. So let's give it a new way. And it always comes
Right.
because that's the vibration you're looking at. So the answers are there. They're never where you're calling things mistakes and, failures and stuff like that. There's no solution over there for
Right,
that.
because as the material says, what you focus on is what um,
Yeah.
perpetuates. So if you have that thought about this a mistake and you're dwelling on that, then you're going to be bringing more of that
Yes.
vibration
Yes. Keeping
with
that
you.
momentum going,
Yes.
you know? And I remember early on, way early on, back in 2003, when I first started to make my initial shift. It had nothing to do with these guys. I was just I was just coming out of the third dimension. I didn't even know it at the time. Anyway, I was watching Joyce Meyer on TV. I don't know if you know who she
Yes,
is.
I do. Yeah.
She actually was very early on beginning stage for me. And I remember her saying one time, if you don't want something to grow, stop feeding it. And that shifted me.
Yes.
I didn't take it in the context I do today, but the context then, it was great. And it's
Hmm.
and it's so true. If you want to stop creating what you're creating, stop feeding it. And the feed
Hmm.
is your focus.
Yes.
Stop looking at it.
Yeah.
Let it rest because it will be there if you want to go back, because it
Mhm.
is a vibration on a vibrational timeline. So if you stop feeding it with your focus, it changes.
Mhm.
It doesn't change, you change,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So lots of good stuff, really lots of good
Yes.
stuff.
I appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah. Thank you. So anything else you want to talk about while we're on here?
Not at this point. When I was reading through book 4, I had so many, like, I could have asked like a zillion questions.
Oh,
That it just, I felt like that, I don't know how to describe it. It certainly put everything together and again, deepened the understanding. And yeah, at this moment, I don't have anything else that
okay.
I'd like to ask.
Well, you can always write in, can always write and I
Yeah.
can do them. But so tell us now that we're going to throw this one out there. Tell us what you do. Tell us how you um, incorporate this information into what you do for your 3D job.
So at the moment, I'm on a hiatus. I'm
Oh,
actually trained as a naturopathic physician,
geez.
and I had to leave the role because I have known, I actually went into, it's a second career for me. I actually have a very corporate background, which happened to be in training and development,
Wow,
organizational development. So as you were talking about the concept of teachers, and you're always talking to teachers, I thought, well, that's fitting then because
of
of my
course.
background.
Yeah.
And so the choice to go back to school and study naturopathic medicine, I
Wow.
felt like was a consciously led, I felt like
Yeah.
soul led decision to do that. And I had always had a perspective of what precipitated that was a physical illness. It was like a mystery that never got solved. And it was through the journey in that I discovered the concept of alternative healing. And then someone, an energy person that I was working with, had mentioned the profession of naturopathic medicine. And so with that prompting, I looked into it and I felt that it was something I wanted to pursue. But I had always gone into it wanting to incorporate the spiritual aspect of
Yes.
ourselves, because for me, what got me to a point of healing was really through that journey with that illness was working on myself spiritually. So I really grew and shifted from that. And I always, in my mind, I wanted to be able to incorporate that into my work with other people in the profession. And it's been kind of so there've been a lot of experiences with that. And up until this point, I think it wasn't necessarily an accepted concept.
That's right.
So it had been very, I hate to use this word, but just so that I can get it out in the 3D format, it had been very challenging for me to take this role on, which is very regulated and,
Okay,
very,
I,
very,
I got to interrupt you because
yes,
they want to give you some insight to that.
okay,
Your pathway into this field, remember we talked that it's scientific. Okay,
yes,
their thing is scientific. But the reason that it is, and you're on the right path, absolutely, allow it to unfold, because
okay,
the reason that it is a challenge is because this is what you have created in its fifth dimensional form. And if you are trying to, and of course you are, I want to say roll it out. It's not to that point yet. To understand it from the third dimensional teaching, this is something you're going to spearhead. You're going to
okay,
spearhead this. So the field is right for the third dimension, but the
okay,
teaching aspect of it comes from your fifth dimensional writing.
okay. That makes sense because so I've been
Yeah,
struggling with it. So I had to actually just take a step back because I thought this is not working out because
right,
I'm not living my truth. And it's,
right,
in a
perfect.
sense, it doesn't feel
Yes.
right. And I'm not, certainly not in alignment. I wasn't in alignment
Well, you
in that
well
role.
you weren't in alignment with the purpose of this,
Yes.
because it was third, but you are in alignment with it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You
Yes, I
already
do
made,
see.
okay. So you have to approach it from the fifth dimensional perspective, which
Mhm.
has nothing to do with the third dimensional
Right.
understanding that we
Okay.
have, which is where it gets all messed up. So, which is why which is why they said, we're not going to tell you what's coming next. You have to let it unfold. You have to
Right.
discover it. You have to discover it. So they're saying that the pathway is right, and what you're calling it is right, and based on your understanding, the desire for this is what will take you forward with it. And the name will change, the process will come to you. You have all of the abilities to I want to say further, um, uh, to put it into play. It's still in development mode in the physical. It's already done in the non-physical, but now you have to catch up to it. In other words, so don't take the third dimensional I'm trying to get a word, which is hard because it's all in the fifth. Sometimes there just aren't words. But what this is going to be for you, you took the impulse of this study. You took the impulse, which was what was on your path. It is on your path. It's going to unfold for you, and you will be a teacher for those who will teach it.
Okay.
So allow it to unfold. It's not at that stage yet. For you, it will be. So as you walk forward on your path, it will unfold for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, it's very simply said that it will unfold for you. So take those impulses that you get, and you will always get the impulse at the right time. And when you do, you will know it like you did this last time.
That's what I loved. If people haven't read book 4, they really have to read book 4, because I
I'm
loved
going to have to go back
how,
and read it.
yeah, I think there was just so much, it just put everything together and also gave more clarity on some of the concepts. And one of the points that was mentioned was on the procrastination,
Yeah.
and how it was love, in a loving way stated that procrastination is not, just like the ego shouldn't be looked at negatively, neither should procrastination.
Yeah.
So I love that. It just gave me so much comfort, because I said, just it's different times in my life too, where there's just been like a stillness, I guess, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
that I have felt I've had to experience. And in the 3D world, people would not necessarily see that as a necessary step, but maybe like a lack of interest, or I don't know, that you should be
Lazy.
doing and doing and doing,
Yeah.
type of thing. And so I feel like I can understand what you just said, just based on having read that, and the fact that sometimes there's a need for a pause, so that for whatever reason, whether it's more development from, say my aspect, or just,
And it's also for us, for teachers of this new material. It's all new, we have to learn it too. So it's all new, which makes it hard. I stumble a lot. I'm trying to find some words, and a lot of words come in because I try to match them up with the 3D understanding, but they don't. So I stop myself because they don't really fit. But there's not really a word that matches the 5D understanding. So I kind of stumble a little bit about that. And we're all going to go through that, because we are the creators of this thing. So what you have in front of you is this purpose, and it is a healing thing. And it is, of course, vibrationally based, because first of all, there won't be a need for healing in the fifth dimension, but on the way to the fifth dimension, we need to understand how to heal, right? Because we can't move in if we still think that drugs are the only thing that, and they don't do it either, but right. So there's no sickness or ailment in the space of alignment, but in order to get people there, you're going to be one of those that will assist in their shifting of understanding. So we would say to you that to keep that idea alive in your head about you are a healer, and that's part of your purpose in moving people toward the new earth, and that is readying them for the new vibration, and they believe they need healing because they're out of alignment.
Yeah.
And once you can show them the vibrational healing, they will shift and they'll teach those behind them, and so on and so on.
Yes. Yeah.
So allow this to unfold for you. And the timing again is based on not only your readiness, but also the collective readiness. Those that will
Mhm.
come to you need to be ready
Mm.
for that too.
Yeah.
So we're I want to say up against, they're saying this, you're not up against anything, we're just we're creating this as we go. We're building this bridge. We're building the bridge to the fourth dimension, brick at a time. And the bridge is long, but
Mhm.
you can take it in one step if you can shift your perspective enough, which of course is almost unseen here,
Yes.
but it's doable because it's just a choice.
Mhm.
But remember, we're carrying that vibration for a long time, our third dimensional vibration. And all those aspects want to come along too. So
Mhm.
as we shift our old beliefs and our old understandings, our 3D understandings about how things should work, who I can call to make this happen, not like that anymore. You call them. They're the
Yes.
ones
Yes.
that, and it's a collaborative effort, that involves
Mhm.
no effort. It's collaborative. We're the
Mhm.
ground crew, they throw us the ball, we catch it and run with it, it's pretty
Yes.
much how it is. So the timing, I'm in the same boat too, I'm a doer from when you start a business, and it never stops. You're just
Yes.
constantly. So for 35 years, I was constantly going and doing and all this stuff. And then they say, now it's time for you to evolve. Take the next 6 months and just evolve. And what does
Mhm.
that mean? Holy cow. But that's what we do, and when I'm ready to receive the next book, I will. And when you're ready to receive your process, or however that's going to unfold for you, it's going to be beautiful. But you're on the leading edge too. So your role is a fifth dimensional healer. It's all vibrational.
Mhm.
It's all vibrational. So we would say you don't have to try to make anything happen. Any
Okay.
effort or trying involved is out of alignment. You just need to focus on your own alignment, and it's on that pathway. It's already there,
Great.
waiting for you to get there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I think it was in the material too, is about really being true to yourself as
yeah,
well. And it's like I just can't move forward now unless I'm true to myself. So
yeah.
whatever that is, whatever that work looks like, I have to be true to myself. So
Yes, absolutely. I've had through this work, I never thought I'd be doing this, but a lot of people approach and they want to be involved in stuff, and up to this point, every one of them has been out of alignment with the
mm,
work because their intention is not my
yeah,
intention. So
yes,
keep that
yeah,
in mind. You know that already. So you're aware
yeah,
of that, and you'll feel it. You'll be able to feel it, because the timing wasn't right for me. Timing wasn't right for them for whatever reason.
yeah.
So we are on this path that they're holding our hands if we will give them our hands. And
Hmm.
they say, give us your hand, take your hand off the wheel and give it to us.
Yes.
Let us do this. Let us, and just focus on your own alignment. Focus on everything that's love, everything that's love,
Yes.
everything that's love. And based on how you feel when you make the choice. We did a quote a long time ago that said, before you choose a thought, see how it feels. How does the thought feel before you choose it?
Hmm.
Because once you choose it, that's when you're starting to create momentum and more
Yeah.
thoughts like that come in. So if it doesn't feel good at the onset, the manifestation of it is not going to be good, obviously.
Hmm.
So it's the process of creation. It's conscious choosing based on what you want to experience.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can choose, and we do all the time, out of alignment manifestations all the time. And people say they damn the manifestation. It's not the
Hmm.
manifestation's fault. You made it. You know,
Yes.
it's like making a cake and it's just really, really bad. You don't blame the cake, right?
Right.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing. We're in total control
Mhm.
of our manifestations. So it's going to be a wonderful journey for you with this thing. So just allow it to unfold. And if you feel, and you will, the tinges of impatience and confusion, when I feel those, I say, well, I'm confused, so I know I'm not in alignment.
Okay.
That's all you have to say,
Yes.
and just let it go, just kind of latch on to something and go, no, that's not the right one. It's the red and white balls in the river, the ego and the soul. You're choosing I don't know if you watched that video, but we have that down by the river process of choosing,
Yes.
and it's so important. If you're choosing the thoughts and they don't feel good, they're not going to feel any better if you keep choosing them, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So it's all
Yeah,
about
that, yeah,
perspective.
the wording has been so helpful to me, just the in
Really good.
alignment, out of alignment,
Yeah.
love, fear, vibration, the repetition of vibration and
Yeah.
yeah, and I think just having a better understanding about choices. Yeah, the choices too. Like it's
Choices.
always a choice. There's
Yeah.
several of those uh, posts that will say that, has
Yeah.
repeating that concept as well. So yeah, I just really appreciate all of that because it's just really, I mean, my eyes have just really been open so
Yeah.
much.
It's the repetition that,
Yeah,
they repeat. We just say it a million different ways.
yes,
One girl messaged me on Instagram and says, why do you keep, and this is like 2 years ago, why do you keep saying the same thing over and over again? And I said, well, are you living it? And she said, no. And I said, that's why we keep saying the same thing over and
yes,
over again, because you just, you, there's so much to shift. There's just so much to shift, and our words are so important. Not necessarily the words, but the meanings that we have labeled, that we have assigned to them,
hmm,
like the ego meaning. As soon as you say ego to somebody, they go, oh, that's bad, no,
yeah,
so changing the perspective. So when Joseph introduced the concept of in or out of alignment to
hmm,
replace love or fear. They
hmm,
said, once you take the word fear out, because there's no fear here. So we're not even, when we write the lexicon, there's a lexicon coming too of new words. Fear will not be one of them. They said, because
hmm.
fear doesn't exist here. So we don't need to have a word to describe anything.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so once you take what I noticed with that shift in perspective, once they take out love or fear, once you say fear to somebody, you immediately you feel a vibration of something, and it's not love, because
Mhm.
everybody associates fear with a bunch of things, because everything's out of alignment is fear. So they said, as soon as we take fear out of the mix, we're going to remove the word, and now it's in or out of alignment, because now there's no judgment. It's either
Yes.
in or out. There's no mistakes. There's no failure. There's no mistakes. You can't get it wrong, as Esther says. You can't get it wrong. You never get it done. Abraham has been teaching, because we're eternal. So
Yeah.
there's no mistakes. There's choosing. There's experience, and it's either in or out of alignment. So if you take fear out of your vocabulary, you'll shift a lot of words that we used to attach to the word fear. They won't even be there anymore,
Yes.
with big things like that, big to the third dimension, with big understandings like the word fear. Oh, that's fearful. Well, jealousy is fear. Doubt is fear. Everything that's not love is categorized as fear. So just
Mhm.
remove the word, just out of
Yeah.
alignment with who we are. It's
Okay.
in alignment with the third dimension. It's not in alignment with us. It's easy. Then you start to come up with your own words, or
Yes.
you'll catch yourself when you're labeling something that you've labeled it for years, and you go, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. Let me give it a new name. Just change
Yeah.
the word and your vibration shifts,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, because the labels that we give things, it's crazy. It's really
Yes.
crazy. It's good. Johanna, this has been fabulous. I'm so grateful for you for doing this with me.
I'm
It's
grateful for you
really,
too.
that
Thank you
was
so
good.
much.
You're
I
so welcome.
appreciate you
Thank you. Thanks for
addressing the
saying that.
questions.
And I hope everybody got something out of it. I hope they did. And I know I tend to ramble, but that's what I do. Can't help it. I can't help it. I'm involved. And
Yeah, no, I
maybe,
think, yeah,
something.
everything you've always said, I felt has been very helpful in your examples and so
Thank
on.
you.
Because I always say to myself, I don't know if I could, well, I shouldn't say I don't know. It's like, I could not come up with some of the examples that you have, and they're so fitting. think
They're
of it.
them. It's them. It's not
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's them.
'Cause it's
Um, I'll say to them sometime, I need a new analogy. They gave me a new one the other day. I don't remember what it was now. It's written down somewhere. And I said, you guys have the best analogies. It was so good. We were talking about the word blessed just this morning, which
mhm.
was really interesting because I have a little balcony and I'm on the third floor of this condo building. And so my balcony is like the top of the trees. And so I'm sitting out there and it was such a beautiful morning. And I was thinking, I feel so blessed. And I've been saying that for a while lately. But even when I say that word, it doesn't feel right to me. It's not
Yes.
conveying what I really feel. It's grateful, but then that indicates. So I started asking Joseph, why do I feel like I understand what the word blessed means? And I definitely feel blessed. And they said, because blessed is a word that, no, I haven't spoken this yet. So these are my words, not theirs. Blessed is a word that is attached to an understanding of a God that blesses people for doing good things, or
Mhm.
blesses if you're good and if you do the right thing, I will bless you, or something like that. I
Yes.
come from a Catholic background, so
Mm.
that the church blesses you, or you have to be blessed by whatever, by a guy. And they said, it doesn't feel right to you because no one is giving you what you're living right now. You are creating it.
Yes.
And that shifted me. I
Mhm.
understood it differently. There's just not a word for it yet.
Mhm.
And a lot of people call it grateful. Yes, I'm very grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that what I have learned from them and the lessons they have taught me about creation is actually working. I'm
Yeah.
grateful that when they say the universal laws work consistently, Cindy, and if you put all your trust into the universal laws and all your expectation into the universal laws, you will never be let down. That was one of my favorite posts. They said that people will say, don't ever expect anything because you'll always be disappointed. And they said, if you put your trust in the universal laws working and and then if you're working with the universal laws by choosing, if you choose something that's out of alignment and the universal laws work, then you know that you're going to get a manifestation that's out of
Yeah.
alignment. Bravo. Then you're doing a great job. If one thing you can trust is the universal laws and you're using them. So you are creating what you are experiencing. So Yahoo, bravo, you're doing a great job.
I love those posts where you mention that the universal laws or the universal truths, because it
Truths.
just really emphasized the point you just
Yes.
made. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important because they're all vibrational.
Hmm.
And they will be what we live by. And they say, those will be the only laws you live by on the fifth dimension. They're really the
Hmm.
only laws you live by here, but you buy into the third
Yeah.
dimensional laws that we need, right? We need to make
Yeah.
all these laws to stop people from doing things that other people want to do. It's an all totally out of alignment mess
Yeah.
we've got going here in the collective, but on the outskirts, it's pretty nice.
Yes.
On the
Yes,
outskirts, it's
exactly.
pretty nice. I live on the outskirts.
Hmm.
Yeah, I step in there once in a while and I go, "Ooh, God,
Right, right.
I don't want to even hear it anymore." So it's true. I said, how am I going to exist? When all this crap started, I said, first of all, I don't believe any of this. Doesn't feel, I don't believe
Hmm.
any of it. And I said, so how am I going to navigate around this? They said,
Yes.
you're not going to, we're going to navigate you around it.
Oh,
And I'll
nice.
tell you this, and then I'll let you go. I know we've been going on here. Wow, we've been going on for a while. But I'll tell you this story in the beginning. When all the masks was coming out and it was big hullabaloo, in March of 2020. In January, they said, focus on your own alignment. That's all we want you to do. Focus. And I had no idea why they said that. Then in March
Hmm.
came and I said, now I know why. And I said, well, I'm not doing that. And I'm not doing that. I know better than that. And I know better than that. So where am I going to go grocery shop? And I said to them, where am I going to go buy food? Because I'm not going to do that. And they said, we'll show you. And 2 days later, I was driving down a road that I've been on a million times. And all of a sudden I see this new place called the City Market. And it was huge. And I go in there, nothing, just
Hmm.
normal stuff. And I said, okay, I'm sold now. So well, I'm always sold. I say that a lot to them. I'm sold again. I'm sold again. So there's always a way. And they said at that point, they said, just because there is chaos happening outside of you in the collective reality, you still create your own reality.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter because the universal laws still work. If there's chaos over there, the universal laws are working. If there's peace and love and joy over here, the universal laws are working. Which one do you want to step into?
Yeah, I think that's been helpful too, because you and then others have continually said that too. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't want, that's not my reality. It's not the reality I'm choosing.
Right.
I
That's
want
right.
to choose my own
That's
reality.
right.
And that doesn't include all that
Yes.
craziness.
All the
you know?
bullshit. Yeah, that's right. And once you make that decision, I mean, I don't know how it's been for you, but it's been great for me. You know,
Yeah,
I just closed the door to it. I
that's,
said,
I
if
feel
you
that's what
want
I
to,
feel like it's been my
yeah,
experience too.
yeah.
Is
And you're led to different areas, you know,
yes.
and you don't get caught up in anything that's going on behind that door, you
Hmm.
know, and I don't want to open that door and it stays closed. And I create over here. I
Yes.
create on the other side. That's all.
Yes.
And it works because the universal truths,
Yes.
you know, the universal truths work. Yeah, it's beautiful. This is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so
All
much. I really
right. You're so
appreciate this.
welcome. You're so welcome. I appreciate you so much. Keep me posted on what
I
happens.
will.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Join us again for the next question of the week with Joseph. Take good care.